Alright guys, in today's video we have a lot of very interesting PlayStation 5 information to go over and talk about. Now I do want to let you know first and foremost that everything we're going to be discussing in this video is filed under a rumor. So you have to take it with a pinch of salt. And I know that it's a little bit annoying because it's like we're getting rumors seemingly every week, we're getting more leaks. And that's because Sony and Microsoft are still being pretty quiet about the next gen consoles. The big question is, when is Sony going to have their next event? How big is this event going to be? Well, all signs seem to point to their next event being sometime in September. And I know that for some people that is a very bitter pill to swallow, but that seems to be the reality of the situation right now. However, that doesn't mean that Sony won't talk about the PlayStation 5 at all between now and the beginning of September. It just might be something a little bit smaller, whereas the big stuff is going to be saved for maybe early to mid-September. And it seems like Microsoft plans to do the same thing. These companies are still playing the waiting game with each other, seeing who is going to go first, who is going to blink first. So in the meantime, all we have to really go on are these rumors. And so what I want to do is relay them to you so you can determine for yourself whether or not you believe them, and you can make of them what you will. So this is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. If you could do me a favor before we go any further, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell notification icon to show your support and help the video out. Now, the first rumor or interesting piece of potential inside information that we're going to go over and talk about comes from Tidix once again. Now, the last thing we heard from Tidix was he talked about the next PlayStation 5 event. He let us know what Sony plans to talk about and show at this event, and he also said it's either going to happen at the end of August or maybe sometime early September. Again, I think at this point that's kind of obvious. But what he says here kind of caught me off guard. Now, I don't want to say that this is for sure correct inside information, because frankly, it could just be a guess that he's making, because what he's saying here is very much something that Sony will be doing at some point, but he's making it sound like it's happening now. So maybe that means we can anticipate to hear more about the PlayStation 5 within the next week or two. He says almost a new week is upon us. For a few selected media and influencers in the UK, it means a unique opportunity to get their hands on PlayStation 5. And of course, they are under strict NDA. And he says, I'm not jealous, you are. And if this is true, then yes, it's hard not to feel a little bit jealous, because these individuals who get to do this, they're going to be some of the first people in the world to actually properly sit down and get some hands-on time with the PS5. And of course, this is something that will be happening. That's why I'm covering this. And if Tidix is to be believed, then as we speak, there may be some people out there who are playing the PlayStation 5, playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, so that they can do their write-ups and explain to people what their hands-on experience was like. This is something that will be happening. Whether or not it's happening right now or it's going to happen 4 weeks from now is irrelevant. It's something that will be happening. And so my big question is, what games are they going to play? Now, it seems obvious to me that Spider-Man Miles Morales will be a game that they play and talk about. In fact, it may be the only game, but I have to wonder, will there be any other exclusive games that they get to try out? Maybe Godfall will be one of them. We know that Deathloop apparently was set to be a launch title, but that just recently got delayed. We may talk about that in a separate video, or maybe during the this week's podcast. But right now, it seems to me that if this is to be believed, we will get to hear media influencers talk about their hands-on time with the PlayStation 5 and talk about Spider-Man Miles Morales and what that game is like and what it plays like. And so I just have to wonder if there is some type of secret PlayStation 5 launch exclusive, if this is one of the games potentially, if it is in fact a real thing that these influencers and media will be able to play and talk about. I don't know. It's anybody's guess at this point, but frankly, I can't wait to hear what people have to say. Something tells me people will be mostly positive, and they will walk away saying positive things and talking about how maybe next gen it really does feel, and how great the game plays, how great the controller feels, how it all just kind of comes together. Maybe there will be some people who will be somewhat negative, but that's not really what I'm anticipating, because in my opinion, the hype surrounding the PlayStation 5 is legitimate. It's not artificial, and it's not exaggerated. I think there are a lot of people who are genuinely very excited about what Sony is doing and what they're going to be offering. So Make of that what you will. We're going to move right along here. The second rumor we are covering has to do with the release date and price. It says here, grab those salt shaker folks, or those salt shakers, as we got another PS5 release date rumor doing the rounds online. Roberto Serrano, who has been pretty active when it comes to talking about next generation consoles, claims that Sony's console will launch on November 13th. He doesn't stop there, however. Serrano also goes on to claim that the PS5 price will be positioned at $499 for the standard edition and $399 for the digital only edition, which, to be fair to him, does tie in with what we've previously heard from retailer listings. So yeah, this is where things get pretty interesting, because Roberto Serrano, you know, he's another individual who's 50-50. He has been correct about some things in the past, other things he has not been correct about. Now, the latest thing he was not correct about was he said August 20th was the date of the next PlayStation 5 event, and clearly that's not the case. However, he did get the last two events correct. He got the August 11th state of play date correct and the June 11th date correct. So it's up to you whether or not you want to believe he's giving out some type of inside information right now, or whether or not he's just giving his best guess. I'm going to assume he's giving his best guess, because to me, this makes a lot of sense. Even if it's not inside information, it is all very much plausible. And the reason I say this is because he also lists the Xbox Series X release date as November 6th. He says that the S model will release November 5th. That seems a little bit odd to me. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're both going to release on the same day. But to me, it seems very clear at this point that the next generation Xbox, whether it's one of them or both of them, I'm going to assume it's going to be both of them, will be launching on November 6th, because the Xbox Series S or X controller did legitimately leak out. A consumer somehow got their hands on one of these controllers, and on the box it said do not open until November 5th. A very clear indicator that this is when the next gen Xbox will launch. So it seems like the next generation Xbox will actually be getting out in front of the PlayStation 5, and then the question becomes, well, for how long? And it seems like not very long if you do believe the November 13th date. What makes that date funny to some people is that that falls on Friday the 13th, which, if you're superstitious, that's not a good thing. Now, I don't necessarily believe that Sony is going to allow superstition to get in the way of when they plan to launch their next generation console, but if you are the superstitious type, then maybe that's not the best day for them to be doing it. But I do believe these dates to be correct, and I do believe those price points to be correct as well. I would be, frankly, pretty surprised to find out that the digital-only PS5 isn't going to come in at $400. To me, it just would make the most sense. I think Sony is willing to take much more of a loss on that console for obvious reasons, it being digital only, because when they lock people in to the digital console, they're effectively locking people in to the PlayStation Store. You cannot make your game purchases any other way, and that is ideal for Sony when it comes to profit at the end of the day. On top of that, having that $399 price point would come off as extremely appealing and an absolute steal considering what is on offer with the PlayStation 5. But to wrap this video up, we're going to continue to talk about the release date of these consoles, because it seems like maybe some new Fortnite content may have given us a little bit of a hint as to when exactly these consoles will launch, because seemingly Sony and Microsoft just don't want to talk about it for some reason. So it says here, a post, has to do with, again, the new Fortnite content, which features Joker-themed content called the Last Laugh Bundle. It's full of cosmetic items. It's just the new content that Epic Games is kind of advertising for Fortnite. But on Epic's post, it reveals that the new content will be coming out November 17th for the PS4, PC, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. But then it goes on to say it will, quote, also arrive in time for the release of the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X next generation consoles, unquote. Now, we could be reading into this a little bit too much. I have a tendency of doing that occasionally, or maybe often. But to me, this seems like a pretty clear indicator that, yeah, these consoles could potentially be releasing before the 17th, or at the very least, it seems like one of these consoles could potentially release on the 20th, which I believe also falls on a Friday, if I'm not mistaken. And so it seems very obvious to me that November 6th is the release date for the next-gen Xbox. But the big question is the PS5 going to be releasing on the 13th or the 20th? My money is on the 13th. And if this post from Epic Games is anything to go by, or this information, it seems like, yeah, it will be the 13th. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. Again, I know it was a lot of different rumors, but I want to relay this info to you so you can determine for yourself whether or not you believe it, why you may not believe it. And so I'm going to ask you to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Make sure you leave the video a like if you did enjoy it or found it informative. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.